Because we do. Welcome back to The Pitch. We're excited to be back. I'm Sarah Holub.
Hi, I'm Kody Marshall.
And I'm Jacob Adlis.
And this is going to be season 2 of The Pitch.
The best season yet.
That's right, we have seasons. Speaking of seasons, by the way, we just started our very first regular season of Quidditch.
Very, very cool.
This is a really historic time in Quidditch as a sport. I think people will look back on this year as a year in which Quidditch gained a lot of validity.
That's absolutely accurate. And actually, this summer is a pretty historic moment in Quidditch as well. There was a lot of, it was actually really full of a lot of really fantastic things. Primarily, one that our very own Sarah Holub will probably have the most expertise on, which is, of course, the Quidditch Games, the Summer Olympics. Sarah.
Well, I'll take over from there, Kody. The Summer Games were awesome. It was a great experience. Obviously, Team USA won. You've seen the videos and the pictures, I'm sure. I think the reason we pulled out the win is mostly due to strategy. We had great captains that came up with a lot of strategy for our team. We had sheer athleticism. And also, we've been playing longer. So that's going to really lend itself to our gold medal win.
Yeah, y'all really did look really sharp. Because I got to go watch the game. Did a little snitching too, but y'all looked really sharp. Who else, though, would you say was some fierce competition?
Obviously, hands down, we're going to have to go with France. I mean, everybody was fierce competition, but France came out of nowhere. We were stalking them a little before, trying to do some recon, and they had these tiny little bludgers, and we're like, look at them with their tiny bludgers. They come out, though, and they handled the regular bludgers with a vengeance, and they did really well. They were incredibly athletic, and I think just a couple more years of experience, and they're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in any level of play. Another epic thing that happened this summer, though, you started a movement, Kody. Well, a fantasy movement.
There definitely was a fantasy movement in the Quidditch world. However, it wasn't necessarily started by me. Really, it started as a conversation on Facebook, and a bunch of people were trying to figure out, well, how can we get together and play some summer Quidditch? And I think it was Doug Wiston that actually first mentioned, why don't we have a fantasy Quidditch tournament? And then Jacob came through, and he added a whole lot of structure to it. He suggested that we use galleons. He suggested a point system.
Draft mechanics.
Yeah, draft mechanics. Yeah.
Oh, this is nothing.
It really is nothing.
And then Augustine Monroe and I got together, and we organized it, we advertised it, and then we hosted it. And I've got to say, it was a real success, and it's true. It did start a movement that spread like wildfire.
Just like wildfire. But I was actually really glad that a bunch of other regions picked this up because I wasn't able to be in Austin this summer. So I was first pretty broken up about the fact that I wasn't going to be there for Kody and Augie's fantasy tournament. But lo and behold, one popped up in the Northeast where I was going to be for the summer. So I still got to partake in the festivities. And it was a really cool time. I managed to squeeze in a little bit. In between my games that I was playing, I ran around with the camera, got a little footage, which I'd like to share with you now.
Come on, Dallas! Go!
The other team's biggest strength that you had to worry about?
I mean, at Chaser, they had us beat. Jake, every time he was in without a bludger, we couldn't stop him. We had a lot of problems with Parada as well. So I'd say that was definitely their biggest strength and really what got them into the game down the stretch there.
Yeah, I mean, their beaters, I believe they had Harry Clark and Heather Knock. They were absolutely phenomenal. They held bludger control for at least 90% of the game. They got them early, and they did not give them up the entire time. You know, they went into the game with a strategy, and they completely executed it, and so, I mean, it's hard to beat a team when they execute so perfectly.
Any particular people from other teams that weren't in the finals that stood out to you that people should watch out for?
I'll start. Let's see, well, from, I believe it was the black team. I've never seen Devin Sandin's last name. I've never seen him play. He is really quick and really smart. I'd heard good things about him as like a seeker and a snitch, but as a chaser, he played extremely well, and I was definitely impressed by him.
The blue keeper, Jamie LeFranc, he's not the quickest guy, but I didn't see one chaser put a body to him and actually slow him down the entire day. I'm not sure where he plays. Where does he play for?
He plays
in Canada, right?
He plays in Canada.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
I believe he plays for, I want to say McGill or UAuta.
But either way, if you don't have a beater on him, he's almost impossible to stop coming down the field. I was really impressed with him.
Now, the Northeast tournament did look pretty awesome, but I gotta say, the Southwest Fantasy Tournament is where it was at. I'm giving a little shout out, little props to my very own the Blue Team for taking the championship. Good job, guys. GM'd by Beto Natera. And in second place was the Green Team. Congratulations, guys. GM picked by our very own, the Professor, Jacob Adlis. Awesome job, man.
Thanks. Beto, get you next time. So with the new season coming up, something that seems to be really popular throughout the community is power rankings, or people ranking who they think the front runners for the World Cup are, or who the best teams in Quidditch are. And since we live, breathe, talk, eat Quidditch, we're going to give you the pitches power rankings, but we are going to try to give you concrete reasons behind each of the teams that we have picked, and we're also going to try to be as honest as possible.
Real season, real talk.
Yeah, definitely. We think that Quidditch is reaching the point of validity where people should be able to have rational, open discussion about why some teams are not as good as other teams or why teams are better than others. Without people getting their feelings hurt. It's just rational discussion.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you who we think are the frontrunners to make the semifinals at World Cup 6, and then 6 other teams that we think have the ability to make an impact as well.
Check it out.
You gotta put A&M in the top 4. They were semifinalists last year. They've always been strong competitors. They're led by Drew Wazakowski. I've gotten a chance to play with him. I know how he works. He's a great player, and they've been working really hard. They won it really bad. They've beaten Texas a couple times. It's gonna be a strong fight to the finish.
The University of Texas Quidditch team. They're a powerhouse team full of athletes. They're fast, they're strong, they play well together. We play well together. The team captains standout players, Chris Morris, Augustine Monroe, solid beating core. That's the reason they're going to be right there in the finals, tearing it up at the World Cup.
University of Miami. There's been a lot of hype building up around this team, and they've been absolutely cleaning up in the Southeast since the last World Cup. And that includes when they've been playing against contenders like the University of Florida, who were semifinalists at World Cup 5. In addition, University of Miami is going to be flying out all the way across the country to the Hollywood Bowl, and any team that's willing to travel cross-country for an event that's not the World Cup has to have something to back up the hype.
UCLA Quidditch, I think, is going to be in the top 4 as well. Great girl chaser line. Vanessa and Missy got a chance to play with them. They're really great athletes. Also got a peek at Alex Brown and the guys on their team. Strong athletes as well. And, of course, we've heard a lot about their beating with Asher King Abramson leading the way on that. And so there's no way you can keep them out of the top 4. They're really strong competitors.
USC Quidditch, one of the best teams in the West. Solid beater core, really hard-hitting team. However, maybe their passing game struggles just a little bit, and they have a lot of reliance on August Danger lures, and one solid chaser is just not going to stack up against our top 4.
University of Maryland, regarded as one of the top teams in the Northeast. I had the opportunity to play with several players on their team during the Northeast Fantasy Tournament, and I was impressed by what I saw, specifically some players like Harry Greenhouse and James Hicks. However, I'm not sure about the depth of roster that they're going to bring to the World Cup, but if it's anything like the players that I saw at the Northeast Fantasy Tournament, then I think they're going to be contenders.
Emerson, they're definitely going to be in our top 10. They've been a strong presence in the North for a long time, although they did have a lot of drama this year, almost didn't get a team together, but they have the components to be a really athletic and challenging team with Benny Nadeau, Matt Lowe, and also David Fox on their team, lots of athletes, so there's something to look out for when you go into the World Cup.
Middlebury Quidditch. Of course we've got to say Middlebury. They know how to win. They're the 5 times champions. Winning is winning is winning. Every year, nobody hears anything about them, then they come and win the World Cup. We're not saying they're going to win this year. We're just saying you got to keep your eye on Middlebury.
LSU, one of the original powerhouse teams from the Southwest, have a lot of really great players, great athletes, known to be a very hard-hitting team. They've got people that have been playing the game a long time and have some really good strategy, like Jason Wynn, Melissa White, Cody LeBove. They're they're usually a great team, but why I don't have them in the top 4 is they seem to have a very strong core of players, and the rest of their team seems to be in flux a lot of the time, and so they might be a wild card when it comes to what kind of team they're going to produce for World Cup 6.
Marquette Quidditch, really solid team. They only lost 1 player from last year's World Cup team, and we all know how well they did at last year's World Cup, beating Middlebury until the game was stopped. Solid team. Coming back just as strong, new players, led by Captain Curtis Michaels. They're going to be one to look out for, so watch out for them.
So that's what we think the landscape looks like at the moment for World Cup 6. But understand that these are just predictions.
Come on, don't get all in a tizzy about it.
Yeah,
It's just predictions.
We would love for you to prove us wrong.
Just like last year, nobody knew UT coming into the World Cup, and now, boom, World Cup.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
So if you think your team is underrated, anybody can write a blog post, anybody can write a comment. Send us video that backs up why you think your team is going to be contenders for World Cup 6, and maybe we'll see you on the pitch.